forget the 7th of October. Never forget the 7th of October. One more time, not 5 more times, not 10 more times, not 100 more times, not 1,000 more times, no, 10,000 times.
Yes, Columbia University, an Ivy League institution in New York City where Barack Hussein Obama went to school, and so did Mahmoud Khalil, who calls for the extermination of the Jewish people, the wiping of Israel off the face of the earth, and, of course, the end of Western civilization. The Democrat Party supports him and his goals. That is genocide, just like the Socialist Workers' Party of Adolf Hitler carried out in the 1930s and 40s. My father had to take a little time out of his youth to go over there and kill some of those armband-wearing Socialist Workers' Party members. You know, der Nazis. Nazis. So we got that. The Democrats, they're very close, very close. They should be wearing armbands. And that was Columbia University with the screaming, shrieking students attacking a Jewish student. The Jewish student is saying no more October 7th, the biggest massacre of Jews since the end of World War II, since the United States galloped to the rescue and put an end to the Nazis of the Socialist Workers' Party. And the Democrats, they want more of that, so they're chanting at Columbia University, 1,000 October 7th, 10,000 October 7th. He wants, and so that would be millions of dead Jews.
Never forget the 7th of October. That will happen. Never forget the 7th of October. One more time, not 5 more times, not 10 more times, not 100 more times, not 1,000 more times, no, 10,000 times.
I don't think that that guy is on the side of the good guys. I don't think he's on the side of civilization. I think he's on the side of genocide. And who was there inciting and instigating at Columbia University? Well, we know that one man named Mahmoud Khalil, he claims to be of Palestinian descent, but he lives in Algeria and he's really from Syria. We should drop him out of an airplane back into Syria and see how that goes for him. Now, the Mahmoud Khalil, the Democrats definitely don't want him deported because they love the jihad. They love death more than you love life. Don't forget to send a check to Planned Parenthood in Gaza because you double your money, double your fun, I think. So Mahmoud Khalil isn't a citizen. His deportation wouldn't be unlawful, says Josh Hammer in the pages of the Los Angeles Times. And he does point out that the organization that the Democrat hero Mahmoud Khalil is affiliated with has called not just for the end of the state of Israel, to be sure, but also Western civilization. And they don't like whether they call for the total eradication of Western civilization. And for 1,000 October 7ths, the slaughter of Israel, the rapes, the kidnappings, the toss them in the tunnels, Americans. I believe it was the biggest massacre of Americans in a single Islamist attack since September 11th, 2001. And the Democrats are now on the side of the jihad. They have really gone over the wall. They are mentally unfit. Pretty amazing stuff. Your Democrat Party. I grew up in a Democrat Party household. My dear departed mother would not recognize today's Democrat Party. My mother was not a jihadi. She was not anti-Western civilization. You people are basically the Communist Party. You're the Soviet Union living among us inside the United States of America. You are the third world. You are violent criminal rabble. You are Democrats. Wacky, rascally Democrats. All right, I want to get to some audio because I've got a lot of it, and I want to get to these lunatics. We continue to be at 888-630-9625. But the Democrats, they are the bad guys. I'm sorry to say, they are the guys that fired on Fort Sumter and started the American Civil War, also known as the First American Civil War. And now, if you're anti-American, they're pro-you. Whether you're Tren de Aragua, a Venezuelan gang of rapists and murderers covered with gang tattoos, the Democrats are with you. Vote for them. And that's why the Democrats waved you all into the country by the millions. All right, not millions of Tren de Aragua gang members, but if they could, they would arrange for that. The Democrat Party would. Many thousands of Tren de Aragua. And if you want to deport them, the Democrats will do everything they can to keep the gang members here and not have them deported. If you're a jihadi and you're a genocidal, Jew-hating, racist, the Democrat Party is with you. Even their Jews are with you. Every day is an IQ test. All right, let's go to some audio because these guys, I got to tell you, the Democrats, I hope that during my radio broadcast, 3 hours today, I hope that they will take a break from attacking Tesla vehicles around the country, which they're firebombing with Soviet-style Molotov cocktails. They're vandalizing with swastikas, symbol of the Socialist Workers' Party of the Democrat Party of Adolf Hitler and today's Democrats. Remarkable stuff. And Elon Musk is in grave danger and has had to step up his personal security because while he was a hero of the left just a tick ago in the scale of time, because he made all these electric vehicles and he was saving the planet and slowing the rise of the oceans, and the Democrats, they celebrated him, but then he decided he was for free speech. And they, the left, are anti-free speech. Very, very anti-free speech. Wah, wah, wah. I'm telling you. All right, let's go to soundbite numero uno, as the crooked Democrat gang members say. Problem is not our guns, it's your sons. Stop raising criminals. Here is the mentally disturbed, racist, anti-Semite Simone Sanders, who used to be with the Bernie Sanders campaign. So naturally, they hired her and gave her $1 million job on MSDNC to go on there and stir up civil war and pick fights and be wrong and ignorant about everything, which is her way. Simone Sanders on MSDNC.
You have Mahmoud Khalil, who is currently being held in Louisiana. It seems to be that the administration has said he has not, he hasn't committed any crimes. And so the question on the table is, well, who is allowed free speech in America?
Well, you grotesque disfigurement of humanity. Yeah, and he has, and they love this. He hasn't committed any crime. Why people just don't listen to me and do what I tell them to do, I don't know. But I've been saying from the very beginning that the guy had to lie on his application for a student visa, which is cause to be expelled from the country. Then he had to lie on his green card application because they ask you, and this all started because we had a brilliant caller whose wife is an immigrant and his stepchild an immigrant, and he had to help them fill out all the documentation for visas. And he called in a couple of weeks ago now and said, listen, you know, Mahmoud Khalil was asked all these questions about his affiliation with jihadi groups and hate groups, and he obviously had to lie about, unless maybe the Biden people say, oh, look, he's with a jihad group. Oh, he wants to exterminate the Jews. Oh, well, he added dirty Jews. We love him. Maybe the Biden people read his maybe he told the truth that he's a jihadi, and the Biden people applauded and said, oh, invite him in, because we're jihadis too. I have a suggestion for the Democrats too. Stop shooting people. How about that? We'd be Sweden if Democrats stopped shooting people. Margaret Brennan is a Democrat. She is on CBS Fake News, Face the Nation. And she had the Secretary of State Marco Rubio on yesterday, and Marco Rubio was taking none of this. I got to say, Marco Rubio is stepping up pretty darn well as Secretary of State. And I wasn't 100% sure going in, but I think he's doing quite well as Secretary of State, what with the truth and everything being under assault by the Democrat Party and the left, who are not American and not capitalist and not freedom-loving people, not free speech people, not free practice of religion people. They're not First Amendment people. They're not Second Amendment people. The left is coming for your rights. Margaret Brennan is a leftist. Marco Rubio was was gracious enough to go on with her.
I want to ask you about a decision you made to revoke a student visa for someone at Columbia University. Can you substantiate any form of material support for terrorism, specifically to Hamas, from this Columbia student? Or was it simply that he was espousing a controversial political point of view?
Well, that's support. And when you're espousing genocidal, when you're a genocidal, Jew-hating Nazi who supports Hamas, then you're espousing it. So they use this as another example of they use the words, but they don't know what they mean. Margaret Brennan. And it's like, oh, did he? Can't he just be pro-jihad and pro-Hamas and call for 1,000 October 7th over and over? And here is, again, Marco Rubio on with Margaret Brennan.
Is there any evidence of a link to terrorism, or is it just his point of view?
Yeah, they take over. I mean, you should watch the news. These guys take over entire buildings.
They
vandalize colleges.
Intensely.
They shut down colleges.
I'm asking about the specific justification for the revocation of his visa. Was there any evidence of material support for terrorism?
Was the negotiator negotiating on behalf of people that took over a campus, that vandalized buildings? Negotiating over what?
She has never talked over a Democrat like that in her life when the Democrat Secretary of State or any cabinet official started answering the question that she had just asked. But she just talked over him with arrogance and impunity and smugness, and pretty amazing stuff. Now, Marco Rubio wanted to point out a thing or two that, again, I say this all the time, too. They don't follow the news. Margaret Brennan and the people at CBS and Face the Nation literally don't follow the news. They don't know what's in the news. They get their news from each other. So circle fest in a hot tub, and they're as ignorant as a gang of...
That's a crime in and of itself, that they're involved in being the negotiator, the spokesperson, this, that, the other. We don't want it. We don't need these people in our country. We never should have allowed them in the first place. If he had told us, I'm going over there, and I'm going over there to become the spokesperson and one of the leaders of a movement that's going to turn one of your allegedly elite colleges upside down, people can't even go to school, library buildings being vandalized, we never would have let him in. We never would have let him in to begin with. And now that he's doing it and he's here, he's going to leave, and so are others, and we're going to keep doing it.
And we're going to, and this is one of the headlines, and we're going to keep doing it. And the left is very angry because they're pro-jihad, and they're violent. They'll attack your Tesla vehicle. They'll attack you. They'll attack Elon. Honestly, President Trump was shot once at another with a rifle in the fence line at his golf course, another would-be assassin in Idaho that was arrested. And the news media doesn't even cover them. Marco Rubio.
They lied to us. When they said they were coming here to be students, they didn't say they were coming here to occupy university buildings and vandalize them and tear them apart and have campuses hostage. If they had told us that, we would never have given them a student visa. Now that they've done it, we will revoke those visas.
So they lied on the visa applications, and the Democrats, who cares? Just because they're jihadi, genocidal racists, even the Democrat Jews are applauding the jihad against them. It's a mental illness, Marco Rubio.
If you tell us when you apply, hi, I'm trying to get into the United States on a student visa, I am a big supporter of Hamas, a murderous, barbaric group that kidnaps children, that rapes teenage girls, and by the way, I intend to come to your country as a student and rile up all kinds of anti-Jewish student, anti-Semitic activities. I intend to shut down your universities. So we would deny your visa. If you actually end up doing that, once you're in this country on such a visa, we will revoke it. And if you end up having a green card, not citizenship, but a green card as a result of that visa while you're here in those activities, we're going to kick you out.
Wow, imagine that. So you lie on your visas, turns out you're a jihadi, and the Democrats want to protect you. They want to date you. They want your daughter to date. They're demented. They're mentally unwell. They're violently, criminally insane. They're the left. You know that the all-new third-generation Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier is finally here, and it builds on the incredible success of the previous generations. And those models quickly became bestsellers, 5-star reviews all over Al Gore's amazing internet. And the new Thunderstorm, the new Eden Pure Thunderstorm, uses 2 technologies that studies have proven help to quickly kill up to 99.9% of bacteria and viruses floating in the air in your home, in your office, where you breathe. It removes dust and pet stuff and smoke and all kinds of other nastiness from the air. Helps get rid of any odor. Stinky odors, no filters to have to buy and replace over and over again like some air filters too. The Thunderstorm will help get rid of any stinky smell, guaranteed. Litter boxes, smelly shoes, left-wing protesters are no match for the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. This week only, right? You buy one Thunderstorm, get one for free. No matter how many you buy, you get an equal number for free. Buy 5, get 5 for free. Cover your house with them, put them in the office. Make them a gift to your favorite smelly uncle. All you have to do is go to EdenPureDeals.com and use the discount code ChrisBogo. That's B-O-G-O for buy one, get one, CHRISBOGO. To get one free, that's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is ChrisBogo. Yes. All right, I've got more. I've got a nice lady who's actually an immigrant to the United States from Israel, and the Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, on this. Why is the Democrat Party part of the jihad in the name of liberalism? Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at WashingtonTimes.com/Chris. See this over the weekend. Benny Johnson, very popular on Twitter and on Facebook, too. Great post of a photograph of T-shirts being sold at Reagan Airport in Washington with a picture of Kamala. And under the picture of Kamala on the chest of the T-shirt, it says, "Miss me yet?" Miss me yet, it says. And it's funny, Benny Johnson said they're selling T-shirts, "Miss me yet" T-shirts at the airport in D.C. I asked the sales lady how many they've sold. Sales lady, zero. That's a poll in and of itself. All right, let's grab a phone call, Michael. Let's go to Angela, calling from Montclair, Virginia. Angela, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call, Chris. I appreciate it. I'm kind of hoarse a little bit today, but, you know, the Democrats of the left, the far left, they are so unhinged. That protest they're doing, I think they still may be there at Trump Tower. And they all have their red shirts on. The smells look like paid protesters. And so I'm watching something, and they're showing that these neo-Nazi people in Ohio somewhere get out of the back of a truck with matching face masks and hold swastika flags over overpass, whatever it is, in Ohio. Now, that sounds like something the Democrats would do. I think that should be investigated. Who owns that truck? And their faces were covered. It sounds like the Democrats they're unhinged. They're trying everything. Sounds like some paid folks were paid and then they did it, I think, in a black community, black neighborhood. So it sounds like something the Democrats did. Well, they're all over the place just going crazy.
You're on to them, of course. You've cracked the code, and the unions and other groups pay them to show up, and you're right, they conceal their identity, which is illegal. I noticed that another one of my fun sayings, that's right, I have a lot of fun sayings. You know, were it not for double standards, liberals would have no standards at all. Fairly popular. But another one I've been using about the genocidal, Jew-hating liberals, that's what they call themselves. They're mentally ill people. One of the things I've been saying for a long time because it's fun is, every Nacht is crystal Nacht. Every Nacht is crystal Nacht. Because the Democrats are out there, they hate the Jews 365 days a year. It's not an occasional thing. But I saw a fun one from Terry Jim on Twitter. To progressives, he wrote, every Nacht is crystal Nacht. Every Nacht is the night of broken glass. The one of the opening salvos, the attacks on Jews in Nazi Germany, the Socialist Workers' Party. Just like Bernie Sanders and AOC, Socialist Workers' Party. And All that good stuff. By the way, Elon Musk, who they hate, has sent a spaceship into space to go up to the International Space Station to meet up with and to retrieve 2 American astronauts that were left abandoned in space by Joe Biden and the news media because they're not on the side of civilization. Pretty amazing stuff. And it is funny, I talked about Senator Mark Kelly, who angrily sold his Tesla. What a bunch of bushy posers these people are. He angrily sold his Tesla, and then he bought a giant white Chevy Tahoe 8-cylinder fuel-consuming beast that, has the carbon footprint of the country of Burkina Faso. Amazing stuff. And John Carney posted the Democrat Senator Mark Kelly has gotten rid of his Tesla for a Chevy Tahoe. And here's a picture of the Chevy Tahoe that Lisa Kaczynski posted on Twitter. And then reposted by John Carney, who said, the libs owning the right by converting to internal combustion engines is amazing. Yeah, we'll show you. We're going to buy 8-cylinder giant SUVs that we were protesting last year, and now we're buying because now we're protesting the electric vehicles that we were buying last year because our brains are severely damaged. Very severely damaged, tiny little brains. These people. Yeah, and Elon Musk is out there in space, not personally, he just sent an amazing spaceship up there to go retrieve the 2 Americans that the Democrats just left to die in space, like a horror movie, a sci-fi movie. Let's get to, because the Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, I guess he wasn't at the Gridiron dinner over the weekend either, where they just want to lynch the president because they're violently, criminally insane and a mob of criminals. They're the Democrat Party. Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, an actual Marine who actually served in Iraq, unlike that idiot dimwit that they ran for vice president as a Democrat, Tim Walz. Look at me. I'm a stolen valor boy. So here's Vice President J.D. Vance talking about the Mahmoud Khalil lying repeatedly on applications, first for a student visa and then for a green card.
American citizens have different rights from people who have green cards, from people who have student visas. And so my attitude on this is this is not fundamentally about free speech. And to me, yes, it's about national security, but it's also more importantly about who do we as an American public decide gets to join our national community. And if the Secretary of State and the President decide this person shouldn't be in America and they have no legal right to stay here, it's as simple as that.
Mahmoud Khalil, jihadi, genocidal Jew hater, but he's organizing these rallies at Columbia University where they're chanting they want 1,000 October 7th, which would be to kill a couple of million Jews. So he's a genocidal and lunatic and anti-Western civilization too. But never mind that. This morning on the television on the Fox News Channel, a wonderful woman, Noah Tishby was on, and she is Israeli. She is an immigrant to the United States who came here legally. The Democrats only like crime and criminals and foreign gangs and cartels, and they're just rabble. But here she is. She's an Israeli American, an activist on the side of civilization. Her name is Noah Tishby. She was on the Fox News Channel this morning, talking about Mahmoud Khalil.
This is not about what Mr. Mahmoud Khalil is saying. It is about what he is actually doing. So we need to understand that he was a part of an organization called CUAD on Columbia campus, which is an organization, a coalition of hate groups. And together, what they did was horrific. They led an insurrection, a violent takeover of Columbia University.
Oh, and it's an insurrection. I love this woman. She's wonderful. She's using the right words. She obviously has command of the English language that the average Democrat does not, even the average Democrat member of Congress. The CUAD, because they're calling for an end to Western civilization, to wipe Israel off the face of the earth, and to have 1,000 October 7th, which is, what is that, like 2 million 1.3 million dead if you had 1,000. But they're savages, and the Democrat Party loves savages now. They've been the violent terrorist party forever. They're the party of the Students for a Democratic Society and the Symbionese Liberation Army. They're kidnapping Patty Hearst. They're robbing banks to fund the revolution. They're the Weather Underground. They created the White Knights of the KKK after we Republicans defeated them in the American Civil War, where they killed more people than we've lost in any other war, and all other wars combined for that matter, in order to keep their slavery and their slaves. But Israeli thinker and writer Noah Tishby.
They occupied buildings. They held staff hostage. They threatened students, Jewish and non-Jewish students. They called in bomb threats. They found weapons in these encampments. These encampments are horrific. I am an immigrant to this country. I came into this incredible place, and I cannot imagine if I would have been here on student visa or a green card and would have come to my campus and said, I want to lead an insurrection. I want to lead a violent takeover. Absolutely not. It's not about words. It's about actions.
Yeah, the words are rather incendiary and genocidal and racist, and the Democrats are applauding and supporting more of this because the Democratic Party isn't. Friendly fire isn't. Common sense isn't. The Democratic Party isn't. American feminists aren't. All right, let's take a phone call, Michael. Let's go to Jerry calling from Sunshine, Maryland. Beautiful Sunshine, Maryland. Geraldo, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris. What a pleasure to speak with you. You know, I have come across some people personally who deny what happened on October 7th. And I know you had one on your humble radio program just the other day I was listening to. It seems to me that if you're a denier of this, what does it mean that now you have the people who perpetrated that wishing for 1,000 October 7th? Isn't that proof, an admission that this actually happened?
Oh, that's a good point. That's funny. In fact, we were just playing, I think Michael teed it up and put it on the trigger, because you're right, at Columbia University, they're calling for thousands of October 7ths, while one branch of the Democrat Party of the Jihad deny it.
Never forget the 7th of October. That will happen not 5 more times, not 10 more times, not 100 more times, not 1,000 more times, not 10,000 times.
This is, Jerry, these are Ivy League American university students whose mommies and daddies got them private tutors because they're obviously not very bright to get them into Ivy League institutions so they could go there and become Nazis while, again, ironically, calling everybody else around them Nazis. Kind of an amazing Democrat Party.
I want to give you one more slogan. From the river to the sea shall all be Israeli.
From the river to the sea should all be Israeli is good, because they look at Columbia University. They were chanting from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, which means wipe the Jews off the face of the earth. And again, this is Barack Hussein Obama, who was mentored by a member of the Communist Party named Frank Marshall Davis when he was an easily influenced teenager. And of course, you know, we have also Barack Obama's spiritual guidepost, the Reverend Jeremiah Wright of the Trinity United Church of Christ in Chicago. And Jeremiah Wright, who married Barack Obama and Big Mike. How's Big Mike's podcast going? Big Mike and Friends. Big Mike and Friends.
What's happened to our Democrats? You know, they've become the party of the very rich, the very poor, and the very weird. There's not much room left for the rest of us.
Honestly. Jeremiah Wright said when asked, Barack Obama was first in the White House after being inaugurated, and he was asked, are you going to meet with President Obama? And what did Barack Obama, this is the guy that baptized the Obamas' 2 kids, allegedly theirs, and married Michelle and Brocken claim to be his spiritual guidepost. And asked, hey, you going to meet with President Obama now that he's in the White House?
Have you spoken with him since he's been in the White House?
Them Jews ain't gonna let him talk to me.
You know them Jews ain't going to let him talk to me, the Reverend Jeremiah Wright said. I think I see a pattern here, Jerry, and and they should be wearing armbands.
At the very least.
At the very least is right. Well, Jerry, at least you're paying attention. And look, there are deniers out there. And you're right. I had one on this radio broadcast who phoned in just about a week ago. And he's like, oh, yeah, that's been debunked. Yeah, the rapes and the murders, that's all been debunked.
Well, we'd like to know what would he say now?
Well, I would doubtless say the same thing again. That was, he was just a Democrat because they're criminally, violently insane, aren't they?
Yep. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. I got to tell you, amazing stuff. Now, there is some good news. Thank you very much, Jerry, and thanks for paying attention and being a normal person. Remember normal. In fact, we were talking about having a T-shirt because the funny Miss Me Yet T-shirt at Reagan Airport with Kamala Harris's face on it, Michael and I were laughing about it today. We should have our own T-shirts with Kamala Harris, Miss Me Yet, with laughter underneath it. Just miss me yet, and then laughter underneath it goes, those might sell. They're completely ridiculous. Now, Jerry, talking about the insanity of the Democrat Party, and the insanity of the Democrat Party is, I think, becoming increasingly well known and well understood by the American people, by voters, by sane people, because we can't all be insane, just Democrats. But it turns out that the Democrats are more unpopular than ever before because they're not just wrong about everything. They've been wrong about everything for a long time. But these people are certifiably insane, and I think more and more people are becoming aware of this. Now, CNN, very reluctantly, do we have any audio on the popularity of the Democrats? No, we don't, do we? CNN, the CNN story from yesterday. CNN poll, they do love their colons. Democratic Party's favorability drops to a record low in terms of popularity. CNN writing about their own stinking, filthy poll. The Democratic Party's favorability rating among Americans stands at a record low, according to a new CNN poll conducted by SSRS. I think that's a Nazi polling organization, isn't it? Fueled in part by dimming views from its own frustrated supporters. They should be wearing armbands. So when they vandalize Teslas and set them on fire and firebomb stuff, churches and things like that. With many in the party saying publicly that their leaders should do more to stand up to President Trump. See, they're not radical enough. It's not that they've gone too crazy, but the CNN poll finds that a lot of Democrats, at least this is what CNN is reporting, they could be lying, as they very often do. But there it is, many in their own party publicly saying their leaders should do more to stand up to President Trump. He's already been shot once, and you got another guy with a rifle, and you guys are trying to destroy America. Democrats and Democrat-aligned independents say 57% to 42% that Democrats should mainly work to stop the Republican agenda, which is to stop the war in Europe, stop war in the Middle East, to cut government waste, fraud, and abuse. And the Democrats want more of it because that's who they are. So 57-42, Democrats should mainly work to stop the Republican agenda rather than working with the GOP majority to get some Democratic ideas into legislation. Well, if you weren't insane, if you weren't mentally ill, criminally insane, violently, criminally insane, working in mobs, the survey was taken days before the 10 Democratic senators, including Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, voted with Republicans. You can't vote with Republicans. Just amazing. In a shift from Trump's first term, most Democratic-aligned adults say the party should focus on trying to stop the GOP agenda. You guys stop shooting people. All right, stop rioting. Stop being genocidal anti-Semites. Stop being pro-Hamas, pro-Tren-de-Aragua, pro-Sinaloa cartel. Stop being criminals. Just a thought. Or you can do what you want, which I guess you will. CNN has a pollster. Now in New York, they yell, "Go back to Poland," to the Jews at Columbia University, the Democrats do. That's where you find Auschwitz, among other noteworthy locations. But they've got a guy named Harry Enton, which is not a good name. Sounds like a Danish with hair on it or something. But he couldn't believe how bad the CNN poll numbers were for the Democrats.
How low can you go? Voters' views of Democrats in Congress, the lowest ever approval ratings on record per Quinnipiac University. Look at this. Approve, 21% among all voters. Look at the disapprove level. Holy Toledo, 68% of all voters disapprove of how Democrats are doing in Congress.
Yeah, that's if it gets any worse, they're going to say that they should be gassed. You know how they are. Pretty amazing. Also, the CNN poll asked, hey, who do you think is the leader of the Democrat Party that would be the counterweight to Donald Trump? Name any leading Democrat. And they got nobody, and they've got nothing. They've got the bimbo bartendress, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a.k.a. Sandy Cortez, as she was known in high school, before she became a bartender and then won a contest that her brother entered her into to become a member of the House of Representatives. But they asked, who's the best? Who best reflects the core values of the Democrat Party? And the winner, with 10% of the Democrat vote, is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez because of that dancing video. And that's it. Followed by, with 9%, Kamala Harris. Miss me yet? No. Followed by Bernie Sanders at 8%. Isn't he like 87 years old? He was at the Bolshevik Revolution, wasn't he? Followed by Hakeem Jeffries. He hates the Jews. He's got 6%. His racist anti-Semite uncle, Professor Leonard Jeffries, was his mentor. Followed by Barack Obama with 4%. And then Jasmine Crockett with 4%. Jasmine Crockett has the same approval rating now as Barack Obama.